Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 23rd community call. Can't believe that we've gone so far already, but I'm super glad all of us are here and even more people are watching the recordings. So yeah, thanks everyone who checks out the recordings after the call. And today we will be talking about how you can create a unique value proposition with AI. So please bear in mind that the call will be recorded. We are recording right now, actually. And here's the small agenda for today's call. So we'll have 30 minutes for blueprint demo. That's not like a strict schedule, so we can go we can squeeze different parts or like make them longer. That's like just like a blueprint of our today's call. So we'll see how that goes. And please meet Austin. He's a co-founder and president at Vision and Story, ex-senior product management at Force Management, and he helps startups that are serious about growth and helps them to find product market fit. So yeah, nice to meet you, Austin. And yeah, right now I'm giving you the stage. So yeah, please share your screen and we'll check out the blueprint.
Oh, it looks like it's disabled for participants.
Okay, 1 second. That might take some time. 1 second.
Good.
You?
I do not have a half-hour long demo, so we can
Yeah.
we can kill a little airspace. No problem.
1 second. Yeah, I've made you a host. I guess that should work right now.
Cool. All right. So yeah, just real quick, this is a pitch deck, but we will not go into any sort of pitch. So the basic idea here is that we noticed that there was a problem in the marketplace, which is essentially bad positioning kills good startups. So you have a great idea, but you just can't talk about it well, and we want to help people to figure that out. And so for us, basically the idea is that you have competition, you have your customer, and then you have yourself. And the best way to get customers is to figure out that little spot where you're unique to them. You can speak to them in a way that no one else can speak to them. And that gives you that product market fit so that when somebody comes to you for the solution, they don't really have another option. Or when they're out there in the marketplace and they're looking for something, they type in certain words in their Google search or their AI search, and it returns your solution because it's specific to them. So we wanted to fix that problem. The idea basically is right now you can do it yourself. So you can do a bunch of Googling, you can ask ChatGPT, you can read a bunch of books. If you are interested in like this kind of stuff, Marty Neumeier is a fantastic author on all this. He has some great books. I do recommend him. Or you can spend a bunch of money on consultants or agencies or hire somebody internally to do this work. The DIY is very time intensive and you have to build up a skill set to be able to do this. The consultants or agencies are fantastic solutions if you can afford it. Most times these types of solutions cost about $50,000. On the cheaper end, it's $10,000. And then a company like Pepsi or Coke spends like $3 million to do this kind of work. So kind of outside the realm of startups, in our opinion. And basically what we said is, well, why don't we take a TurboTax approach and allow you to kind of do this on your own? So previously you had to get a CPA to do your taxes, but then TurboTax came along and you could do a user-led experience. And we said, let's do it ourselves. So let's just have a user-led experience. So that's kind of the context of what we're trying to build, a user-led experience to be able to help companies find the product market fit. Let's jump in. We'll talk way more about the AI aspect of this. I wouldn't say we're doing anything groundbreaking, but I think it's kind of cool that we have a practical application of different AI tools out there. So we can see our landing page. We have some just-in-time learning. This isn't our AI, but all of the videos that we have here, we wrote the scripts, but then AI then generated the rest of it. So we have our little Pixar dad moment here, and then this is all generated by AI. And then on this right-hand side, we have a chat bot. It's a RAG that we have with a local company here, and it will be running a lot of the AI underneath when we're going through. But it also allows you to have conversations with it, ask it questions. We've trained it on my co-founders, a vast experience who's been in this industry or this space for about 18 years. So we loaded all of his information or all of his work product for the last 18 years into the knowledge base of our RAG, so that it speaks with him, and then we train, or it speaks in his tone. His knowledge base is all IP to us, proprietary to us, so you can't get this information anywhere else. And then we also trained it on several workflows to help you kind of write scripts or to write content for your website or to be able to basically apply what you get from here. So we can kind of circle back towards the end of that, but just a nice little add-on there. As you can see here, we have a series of exercises that are all self-led. Most of these exercises are actually just algorithmically gathering data. So if we go into one of these first ones, and I'm not going to click through all of them, don't worry. We can see that there's a series of questions. And what these questions are going to be doing as we load, of course, during demos, everything's slow. There's just a series of questions in here that basically are trying to figure out more about your company through your eyes. And the idea of what we're doing here is we're asking these questions that would typically be asked during a consulting engagement, and then processed by the consultant to then create these different outputs. We're just gathering it here. Everything is designed to be about 5 to 10 minutes long, so you can chunk it out into smaller portions. And it's basically just gathering everything that we're going to eventually feed into the AI so that it can generate the deliverables for us. So not going to make you go through this and watch me, answer a bunch of questions. They are nice. It kind of goes through the entire who, what, where, why, when, how of what your business is all about. These are questions that every consultant asks. So we just standardize them and put them into a format that you could, go through as a product. Additionally, there's some other things in here that help you kind of narrow down and sort through it. It's not really AI related, so or bore us with any of that. But it does kind of go through and help you kind of refine what you've done and then refine our data points to then feed into the AI. So instead of just going to the AI and having like prompt back and forth and have a bunch of conversations, we've created a structured gathering set, or a structured approach to gathering the set of data we want. And then we have workflows like our About Us workflow. And what that does is on the back end, we've gathered data from the previous 8 workflows that you've gone through. And now we're just going to go in here and we're going to feed our AI with those proof points. So it's going back in, it's pulling things through. We have a prompt on the back end. It's going to our AI that's been trained. So the Brandon chatbot I showed you earlier. And now it's going through and running an analysis. It is not lightning fast. We kind of took a sledgehammer approach. So instead of trying to make specific AI models that were really specialized to certain things, we just took a larger one that could be applicable to many. So our latency is a little bit of an issue at this point in time, but we are also an early stage startup. So we kind of figured it wouldn't make sense to overinvest in trying to hyper specialize multiple AI bots to be able to get the work done. So while we're waiting for this to load, I don't know if we want to ask any questions at this point in time or just kind of twiddle our thumbs as we wait for this guy to run through the process.
Yeah, I guess I'll. Oh.
Yeah, well, there'll be another one where we can kind of sit and look at it. So as you can see, as you can see, we have these values that are generated. So these are basically based on it. Went into the back end, pulled all those answers that you had. We specifically pulled from certain spots based on my business partner's expertise, and it generated these values for my brand. So obviously we help people build brands. That's why I'm showing here. But it's essentially taking things like what your category is, what your important who is, what your important why is, and then it's running it through our trained bot to then generate these results automatically. You can generate them as many times as you want. I will not put us through that again. And then you can save them. Oh, was there a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can go back and then I'll get another one kind of going so we can wait on that. So that's a little bit of the AI just coming in and generating part of our final deliverable from what that data we gathered. Another aspect of this is that we want to then figure out your competition. So as we wait for this to load once again, let's get to the competition. So we want to be able to do quick research for folks. And so basically all you have to do is come in here and put one of your competitors' URLs in. We have not figured out how to connect our AI directly to the internet. So we just have a scraping tool in the background. It's going to go scrape the AI Podcast Hive website, and then it'll put it through our chatbot once again to be able to then generate an analysis of the competition. So while we wait for this one, again, we can take a second to answer any questions if there are any.
Yeah, there is a question from Nishant. So, Nishant.
Awesome. Is it in the chat?
Yes, yes. So yeah, Nishant asked, are you using a fine-tuned OSS model in the background or not? So basically, is your tool open source or not?
Yeah, so we're using a product that another startup in Central Oregon, where I live, is developing. It's built on the OpenAI platform, but they basically created an automated RAG generator. So basically we can go in and create our own RAGs, just let it snap a finger, and then we go in, load our knowledge base, and then there's a tuning mechanism within there. So we go in and we train it to be able to follow workflows, tell it when it's doing a great response or not. So a lot of this has been gone through. We spent a lot of hours just running the workflows or running these analysis, and then giving it the thumbs up or giving it the thumbs down, and then giving it the right answer that should have provided. I will admit that I'm somewhat more of a novice side of AI, so I don't know if that answers if it's an OSS model or not. But we have a fine-tuned model that is proprietary to us and has a knowledge base that is separate from OpenAI. We don't have anything going to their training model. So does that answer? Okay, cool. Hopefully that didn't sound too dumb. Yeah, so then we have the answer here. So we did the scrape, we pulled the text in, and then we pulled the relevant information to be able to create our positioning report. So we've got our archetype based on the archetypes that we developed internally. So we've got the matchmaker. Here's the rationale provided by our AI saying why it chose that. I think matchmaker does make a lot of sense, right? Because that is kind of what this community is all about, connecting people. Social connectivity as the functional benefit, being recognized, and then community calls. Hey, the thing that we're all on right now is one of the primary features that's been identified by our AI. So for this workflow, we would go in, we run it against all our different competitors. We would drop that information on this right-hand side and save that to then be able to be part of our positioning report. And the idea here is, we gathered information about you. We ran it through to develop your values. We gathered information about the customer. It's basically the same process to gathering information about the customer as for you. So I'm not going to pour people through that. There's really no additional AI at that point in time. And then we just used AI to scrape and run analysis against your competitors to create a position. And the idea here is back to our problem statement. A lot of times the reason that startups don't succeed isn't because they don't have a good product. It's because they don't have a unique position in the marketplace to then be able to speak and connect. So we have a report here. You can see I have my archetype, my customer's archetype, my competitors' archetypes. One of the things that we want to be able to identify for folks is if you can uniquely speak in a manner. That can also be a way to do it. So maybe you don't have a feature that's unique, but you have a philosophy or an approach to talk about things that's unique. So a great example is liquid death, canned water. It's the same as every other water. In fact, I think it tastes worse, but it's got a personality. And so people pick that up because they're like, oh, I'm a metalhead too, or I like this. It's funny. It's silly. They're, multi-million-dollar. I think they're hundreds of $millions a year because they have a can with some cool artwork on it. So if you can connect in a personality type, that's a great way to be able to be unique. Emotionally, I'm showing here, all right, so if we were going to lean on emotional benefits of our product, you'd see that we don't have a unique place. Do not try to go to market with that. Either don't talk about it or try to figure out a new emotional approach to how it works. And then a functional one, we see that there's some white space here, but we see that our customers looking to save money, and we're offering a pleasant sensory experience, which means, all right, well, if you talk about your functional aspect of it, they're not going to be that interested. And then finally, I obviously jerry-rigged this one. we can see where we're unique and also connecting with our customers. So the idea would be go through these AI workflows, continue to refine and adjust and iterate until you find an area where you can really have, the green. The two best spots would be the archetype and the emotional. Obviously, if that's not what you have, that's not what you have, and you need to speak to functional or feature. But the idea would be you kind of go through all those workflows, you use AI to generate, your location. This is more just an algorithmic approach to it. But once that's complete and you have something that you believe in for your market positioning, you go in, and this is where our AI does most of the heavy lifting for us. It takes all the information that we've gathered about the entire process, and when we finish loading, it generates a blueprint. And so it takes a little bit of time to generate this, and I don't want to have a bunch of dead air space on this call. But it essentially goes through, it creates your company's mission, vision, values, your we are not, your persona, your promise, the customer breakdown, your competition breakdown, and your positioning. So this is your unique value proposition right here. So it takes all of the previous 16 exercises. It runs it through a series of different, different prompts to be able to then generate each of these, and then rewrites it in a more natural language. And then if you go through and you update something, we do have the ability to update, with a new exercise. So you can see that there's 8 components that are pulling from to generate that brand book. And the brand book, for those who maybe aren't as familiar with that aspect of it, is a standard deliverable for anyone that works in the creative side. So if you have a graphic designer, a marketing person writing copyright, somebody who's generating scripts for your commercials, everyone's going to ask for that output that we just showed you right there. So it's the standard output. But if you go through and you update something, you have the ability to come in here and change, the last time you did it. Obviously, you can see that I constantly am iterating with this thing. So I have a ton of different options here. I think we could probably improve our UX based on it being a little confusing on what those results might have been. But then essentially you can come in here, change it, and hit generate new brand book. And you can see it goes through 8 different prompts to generate that final deliverable. Because I only changed one thing, it should only go through one of these. So hopefully it should be pretty quick. But then essentially our idea here is that, you go in, you learn about your customer, maybe you find a new competitor, you run some of those previous workflows, put it back through here, generate a brand new workbook or brand book so that you can then continually iterate on your startup. And that is basically the high level of everything we go through. And then, at the very beginning, while we're waiting on this, the final note is then you can go back to that chat bot that was in the lower right-hand corner. It is set up so that it recognizes your IP address. I believe that's how it works under the hood. We didn't develop the chatbot itself. And so it basically starts customizing to you. So the whole time it's going and it's referencing your work and it's helping you process this. So right now my chatbot is running through and doing this generation process. So it's starting to be customized to you as you're going through. So you can start asking it questions. I guess we're going to probably do 2 of 8. And so that'll basically be ready for me to answer, ask questions. So hey, if I want to rewrite my website, I can say rewrite or write me a landing page that takes into account, X, Y, Z, and then it will, produce that copy for you. If you want to take that and then tweak it, you can do that, or you can just copy paste it in. It just kind of provides, an additional tool to help you do that. It also does strategy, creative briefs for any creatives that you might want to send that information to. And then, yeah, kind of just is there to be as an on-demand assistant.
So maybe I've missed that part, but is there a way to adjust the output from the AI? For example, tweak the temperature a bit, or add a custom prompt that would instruct the AI what what sentiment should it use to describe the product? Because lately I'm starting to notice in the general sentiment among people on the web that people started to notice AI text and basically people became able to figure out whether the text is AI written or not. Like the example of that is, yeah, the debate with Paul Graham on Twitter and the word delve. So is there a way to tweak that a bit?
Not so when it comes to like generating something like the brand book, that we don't have something that's user facing at this point in time to kind of say like, hey, cut it back by 30% or whatever. It is, however, trained on like my business partner's like writing style for the last 18 years. So it does lean a little bit more to be like him. I started training the bot and then started writing all of my content using it. And he started being like, you're getting really good at writing. And I just started laughing because it was like, it's you writing. I'm just prompting the AI to be able to do it. So I'd like to think that we're not quite the same as like a chat GPT out of the box writing. But, personal bias could definitely be involved in that. We are definitely constantly tweaking to make sure it's, working and not being over the top. And like we appreciate the outputs that it's creating. But then if you were in the chat bot, you can always like tell it to dial it down by 30%, or just say, hey, like, I know it's writing in maybe like this archetype style, but do 50% less, or do this or do that. So that's something you could do while interacting with the chatbot. But we don't have like a setting as you're going through the rest of the exercises and it's doing its back end work to allow somebody to kind of tweak it.
Is there a story of updates or changes that you've made to your positioning? Like I do remember the UI where like a bunch of drop downs were added, but is that basically a version history of your like entire product blueprint, or that's something else?
Yeah, so those drop downs are every single time you go through, we store every single instance that you've done it, and then you can go back and tweak. So like if you go in and you're like, like I actually didn't like working with that customer wasn't really the right one for us, you can go back to the previous version and then rerun the whole thing and have it then output that same way. So you have access to your entire thing. There's definitely a better way to present that information. I think just giving the date, you're not going to remember per se. Like, what did I do again like 3 months ago? Wait, which one was the one that I liked? Like that's going to be really difficult. So we need to figure out the right way to present that for sure. But you definitely have the ability to go back and then, once you figure out the right way to present that information so it's easy to use, you'll be able to go, cool, that was the time that I was talking to Tom at Acme Core, and I like that version of what we were doing. So I'm going to pick that.
Yeah, what I think is that like the collaboration thing would be a nice feature so that you would be able to share data with your colleagues, for example, and they would be able to tweak that. So yeah, maybe like access from multiple accounts would make sense, but yeah.
Yeah, so fun fact, we built this whole thing with Squarespace and Google Sheets. So we have some limitations on being able to have like a multi-person workspace. So it is one-to-one right now. I don't know if you noticed, but my email key is how I'm figuring out what information to show. So definitely scrappy early stage startup. We do have a couple functionalities that we are looking to kind of roll out though, which would allow people to generate like unique IDs for their team. And then things like, this isn't AI related yet, but I think it'll be in the future, is we have like this ability to go through and define your persona. And then what we could do is what we already have the ability to do if people want to start asking for it is send out the persona survey to everyone on your team, have everyone take it, and then see if everyone's aligned on like what your brand's persona is. And then be able to train our AI to then run an analysis and say like, hey, here's where you guys don't align. Here's our recommendations based on that. So that's something that we are kind of doing that would make it a little bit like multi-team member versus just solo.
Got it. Folks, do you have any questions? Yeah. Okay. So in that case, yeah, I guess I'll take the host if you don't mind to make sure that, yeah, we were recording. Okay, that's the good news. Because when like I'm sharing the host, like the button that allows you to record the call, it disappears and basically the host starts to record the call. So like for a second I've been thinking that we lost the recording, but yeah, we're okay. So yeah, if I guess we'll have a couple more minutes for folks to come up with other questions. But yeah, I've got a couple of mine as well. Do you develop any other AI projects, or like the blueprint is the only thing that you're working on right now?
Blueprint's the only thing we're doing at the moment. One of the things that we have been asked though is some more established organizations. We're currently just like focused on startups, but more established organizations have said we don't care about the you part, like the telling us about ourselves, or our customer part. Like they do a bunch of research that they go, that competition analysis thing is really interesting. So it's kind of building on top of the competition analysis, but just kind of making it its own standalone product. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a different project because it's basically just like kind of everything's building on top of itself. But essentially what it is a report that we generate using AI that basically would compare you against 5 different competitors against multiple spots. So like, what are you saying on like your own socials? What are people saying about you? What is your competition saying? What are people saying about your competition? And then basically making recommendations on marketing strategy. So saying like, hey, like people on LinkedIn don't agree with your competitor on what their benefit is. This is an opportunity to run a compete campaign. So it's like a much more robust version. I showed you what this one does. It scrapes, it gives you a little bit of information. The other one's like a 3-page report that quantitatively like says like this is a 7 out of 10, this is a 5 out of 10, like here's your opportunity for growth. So just kind of building on top of the way we look at it is that Venn diagram, your customer, your competition, everything we build in the future is just going to be, that somewhere in that realm.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so from what I've got, you've developed this project from the need that you've had. Like the whole idea of this project appeared after like you've faced some issues with your like previous products, or like how the idea appeared in the first place.
Yeah, so the whole foundation of this is when ChatGPT finally hit the mainstream and everyone was like talking about it. My co-founder had been doing this for the last 18 years. He always thought it was this magical, wonderful thing that you couldn't standardize or automate. And then he saw ChatGPT and was like, all right, I got to rethink my entire stance on this. So he's been doing it a long time. He was one of those people running those workshops. I mean, he's worked with all the big companies and done all the big stuff. And he essentially was like, well, let's just give it a shot. And so we just started iteratively by like creating like different little surveys, just like create standardized results. And then we actually didn't intend on having an AI component until we went to a conference and somebody told us showed us how to do like real prompt engineering. And then we were like, oh, let's see how this could fit together. And so basically like the problem that we started from was you can't scale a consulting workshop, but you can scale a SaaS. And so that's what we try to solve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds reasonable, but like from what I've noticed, people are trying to automate this kind of stuff already. So do you think that like the whole like business idea of the like product product data generation might be like overthrown with like OpenAI itself? For example, maybe they'll release like custom GPTs that would be able to scrap the website and like provide the data about the positioning by themselves, or like you've got some ideas how to pivot if that happens.
Yeah. No, first of all, I totally agree that somebody could copy us. I don't think that we're, these magical people who come up with an idea that no one would be able to replicate. I think what I've always thought of it as when it comes to this is the idea of having your own knowledge base and having that IP. So anyone could go recreate the product itself if they like went in there and just like bought a subscription and then just tried to like piecemeal it backwards. The thing they can't do though is understand like underlying algorithms or all that content we've trained for the last 18 years. Now, if somebody wanted to do that and then go grab somebody who's been also doing the same thing for 20 years, they could probably create something really similar. So our strategy to that would just be to stay ahead of it and just continually be like creating these new products and staying, cutting edge, and then always making sure that we're, speaking the right messaging. But certainly, I mean, somebody right now could go create a chat or a custom, GPT and chat GPT that would allegedly do the same thing. And then my counterpoint would be, all right, but what's your data source? If it's just all of ChatGPT, that doesn't really help you because everyone has access to that. Do you have 20 years of experience that you can feed a custom model that then makes it more valuable than the other ones? So I think my philosophy is that there's a lot of organizations that have like this gold mine of IP, and you just want to make sure that you protect your IP, put it into a RAG so it doesn't get fed into the model, and then use that as your competitive advantage. Like I have no interest in becoming like a true AI company because first of all, we're not good enough at any of that stuff. And then secondly, I think that becomes commoditized, but what doesn't is skill sets and knowledge bases that you can, or your knowledge that you can then load into and make unique things with.
Yeah, I guess like that's a very valid and important point that everything depends on the person, like at least at this point in time.
Yeah.
So if like something you've produced does not qualify, or like something that AI produced rather does not qualify as the proper result, like experienced person with like a lot of knowledge in this area can proof check that. So I guess that's a very like crucial part of your business model at this stage, and like any business model rather like that's related to AI. So that might be applied to any field, any product basically that's using AI to kind of generate content for their clients. So that sounds like a competitive, like an advantage, I guess. So that's
for now. For now, I think the advantage we have at this point is that my co-founder is one of those people that used to believe what he did was magic, and there's a lot of people who are like him, but he's the first one, from what I can tell at this point, that has said, you know what, everything I do is formulaic. We can turn it into an algorithm. We can ask the same exact questions, and we can prompt AI the right way with my knowledge base, and we can create something. There's plenty of other people that if they made that realization, they could go find somebody to help them build it into what we've done and totally copy us. So we just have to keep moving fast because we are not special.
Yeah, I guess that's also the very important point, like the speed of the movement in general. Because I've tried to, like, while you were talking, I've tried to find the meme that I've saved somewhere about the whole AI thing that's like moving too fast. Because like previously when we were talking about data science and machine learning, like even 5 years ago, people were operating with the terms like gradient descent, like some machine learning terminology, etc., etc. And right now I'm starting to notice that even top level scientists are using terms like magic. Wow, something like this. And it gives this sinister feeling that even the people who are developing stuff, they are starting to lose control over it. And I guess that might affect us pretty much. Yeah, so Andrew said that thanks for sharing, and he dropped off. But overall, like guess we've gradually shifted. Yeah, by the way, folks, do you have any questions for Austin? Yes, not. But if you'll have any, please drop them into the chat. Or if you're watching the recording, please like reach out to Austin in the direct messages, I guess, or into the replies in the general channel. That also works. So yeah, I guess we've gradually shifted to the second, like I've prepared a couple topics that I wanted to discuss. And yeah, one of them is like pretty expected one, but GPT 4.0. Have you seen the demo already?
I saw it. I thought it was interesting.
Uh,
Go on.
Yeah, it's pretty insane, honestly.
Yeah, that's like honestly, I have no idea how to use it, but yeah, Alan, I guess it was you who shared the meme in the with the community where like I'm dating a model. Like previously, that was like yeah, like a regular model, and right now, like since OpenAI released the
Yeah,
their
that's like the most sinister use case, I think, for AI right now.
They're getting
The one-
closer and closer to her, the movie.
Yeah, talking about sinister use cases, I've got the second topic to discuss, but let's leave that for yeah, for later a bit. But yeah, as for the demo, folks, like how did you find it? Like, what do you think about that? What might be the like the easiest applications for that? Like, have it killed your startup already or not?
Right.
I'm
I
curious.
think the always on possible like use cases are what we're seeing are being opened up. I think just like having your desktop being observed just like all the time while you're coding or editing something, writing a pitch deck or whatnot, like that stuff, like the real time, and even during an interview, perhaps, the real time, nature, the low latency nature of all this and the insights you can gain from AI. But then that, like at the same time, you have to build a way to consume all that information, right? So like right now, like the model is powerful, but the UX might not be there for specific use cases. So I think that's where we're gonna see, these products shine.
Has anyone used the always on function as like a coding partner?
Not yet.
Not yet, yeah. I've opened up threads with ChatGPT for code development, but I don't even use Cursor. Are you a developer, Austin?
No,
Oh.
but AI allows me to be. So I just take sorry, I just take chunks of code and I drop it in and I'm like, hey, I need this code to do this instead. And it rewrites it. I'm gonna use that.
That's awesome.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was just seeing an example of those apps where you can take a photo of your, of what you're eating, and it just gives you an outline of what caloric intake and nutritional intake you've just taken. That stuff used to be, quite advanced, but now it's kind of trivial to do that kind of, applications. So
I took a screenshot of some UX that I didn't like, and I just asked ChatGPT to write me code to fix what I didn't like about it, and then copy pasted it. Like, blows my mind. I'm sure I'm not doing things that are as complex as other people are doing, but for my use cases, it just changes the game completely.
Yeah, but by the way, Alan, have you seen the dude on Twitter who created an application for cheating during the interviews? Like he basically, like he's not using GPT 4.0, but he's been using voice to text models and basically split the screen for a person who's like going through the interview, and you've got the like the interviewer from the left and ChatGPT that listens to the interviewer through the mic and basically outputs the proper responses to the interviewer's questions. So have you seen that person on Twitter or like you?
I didn't see it on Twitter, but I did see an ad pop up for a service that offers this on Instagram. So for sure, people are, taking these models and building use cases that you would think are not acceptable, like dating an AI girlfriend or cheating on an interview and just trying to make money from them. It's
Yeah.
definitely something, those are like the first sort of the first frontier of what AI is unleashing onto the world right now. But we'll
Yeah.
see more.
I feel
Yeah.
like it's like with every tool, like you could use science to build an atomic reactor or an atomic bomb. That's up to you, and this is kind of the same.
Yeah.
Yep.
By the way, why I've asked that, because like I've seen like that person popping up on that like in my feed constantly for like the last 6 months, and like some time ago the person like just disappeared, and like I don't hear about the project at all. So I've been curious whether the person got like some backlash, because yeah, as you mentioned, Alan, that's a bit like this use case is a bit tricky to implement and to publish in public. If you'd like to work on something like this, I guess you'd like to stay anonymous, because you're essentially tricking a lot of people, and that's your like entire business model. So yeah, I've been curious whether like you were following the person or not, but and yeah, like maybe I'll check out what's going on with him. Like I'm curious about that.
Yeah, try to unearth him, at least for your curiosity. But I think those are just it's going to continue to be part of the conversation. Um, I've been going through interviews myself, and whenever I get asked like a very basic um, thing that just naturally I would use a computer for, whether Google or calculator or a GPT for, you know, it's hard to tell what they're really trying to evaluate. You know, like like any person, trying to calculate something is likely going to use a calculator if so why not, have the ability to use a GPT for such basic things. So, but that's just part of the conversation.
Yeah,
I always
that's
And
thought
it's
that
just,
like what it really did was it made it not like the execution of things important, but the vision for what things need to be solved. Like I would struggle to see where like at this point any AI model could figure out like problems that should be solved, or even like the idea or the structure of how to solve them. But then like the execution, why weigh yourself down or anything like that? Like just for us alone, like we were able to launch a SaaS product because of AI, because it did 80% of our coding. But why not celebrate that fact? Like I don't see any reason to get sad about it. It's like we were able to do something we couldn't do 20 years ago or even 5 years ago. And I think that just like creates this. There was like a technological moat and like resource moat that just like kind of disappeared.
for sure.
And like why not just celebrate that? Like, just gives everyone opportunity.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you're a prime example of that, and you should definitely celebrate that. I think that's awesome.
Absolutely, yeah.
By the way, Juan, you're going through the interviews right now, or like from what I remember, you've tried to switch from like product management to more AI related stuff. How does that go?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I just started a new company. We are actually building a digital insurance company right now. So things are kind of hectic right now, but yeah, I'm definitely trying to build AI into it. I'll give you guys a heads up when I'm able to, but first we have to have like online quoting. Like it's a long way ahead. So yeah.
Yeah, keep us on the updated on that, please, at least in Slack, because that's like I'm super curious. Like I've had a colleague who developed like who dropped off from his primary job because his brother been working as a lawyer, and he tried to implement a software for his brother's company, and like that went pretty good. He basically developed a SaaS that been like really successful and adopted like the first technology that like emerged at that time in the JavaScript area. So that was like a pretty cool use case. So yeah, please keep us posted on that. Maybe we'll be able to help with something.
I love to. Thank you.
Yeah. By the way, talking about sinister topics, like I promised to drop another one on you. Have you heard about Word2Vec, or rather, let me check. That's Live2Vec. Actually, that's how it's called.
No.
I'll send you the thing that you can Google into the chat. So yeah, basically that's something that you can put on Google, and after that you'll open a Pandora's box. Basically, the entire Google feed would be filled up with applications that claim they can predict when you will die. And what's like the most sinister about this thing is that, like, rationally, I do understand that a lot of those products, they are basically ChatGPT applications that are like asking you some basic stuff, and based on the current statistics that we obviously have in the open source on the internet already, and ChatGPT parsed that, they're basically giving you some general predictions that, yeah, according to your age and some of your like basic diseases and whether you're smoking or not, you'll have the life expectancy of 65 years, for example. And by the way, if you'll check that on Google, the actual Live2Vec, like the legitimate application that was created from the scientific paper, that would be the number 4, at least in my search result. I didn't know what's your search result, but I'll send you the link to the actual website that is considered official for this application. And they're saying that, yeah, we are not trying to give the exact date when you will die. We're just operating with the data from the Denmark. I guess it was like the Ministry of Health or something like that. But they state on their website that we, the paper authors, aim to clarify certain aspects of our model and prevent the public from being misled by counterfeit services such as so-called AI doom calculator, telecharger, that's not sinister enough, but intelligent death AI, death predictor, etc. And we try to explain that the paper actually says blah, 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 but the case is that right now people are focused on creating different AIs that would basically predict your death. And considering the data set becomes bigger and bigger, we do have like a health tech already, like Apple Watch, like a lot of other hardware that basically measures your like body parameters, etc., etc. We are putting everything on the internet right now. We do have like statistics for everything. I'm pretty sure AI would be intelligent enough and would have enough data in, I guess, a matter of like 5 years to be able to predict when you will die, like exactly like ourselves. So that thought that gives me nightmares, honestly, because like the lifelong question, if you would be able to know when you will die, would you ask like the person or like the witch or anyone? That's like a kind of a famous thing. Like if there is a person who knows when you will die, would you ask that person to give you the exact date of your death or not? And honestly, like I'm super scared because in a couple of years we would be basically encircled with different AIs that will try to tell you that. And yeah, I doubt I would like try to find it out, but that sounds scary, honestly. So yeah, my question to you, because like I'm super curious, would you use AI to give the date when you will die if the AI would be precise enough, or that's something that you try to avoid?
No, I would definitely use that, actually. Yeah, like, yeah, I mean, if I have 30 years to live, like, I would rather live them to the fullest, if possible. Yeah.
You could, I would assume too, though, that like if it's like pulling all this biometric data, you could be like, all right, I'm gonna have like less beer this week to see if I can like get another 5 years and like maybe like not have that big old steak and have a salad instead. Like it could be interesting on a way to like kind of be able to gauge that health metrics and then make wise life decisions based on what it is.
Absolutely. Imagine having a doctor that knows everything you eat, everything your clinical history of your families, every single medication you take. Yeah, that's gonna be pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's coming.
Yeah. Have you guys I don't know how valid the story is, but I've heard it a couple of times where like Amazon's algorithms on some of these purchasing habits predicted they were pregnant before they knew they were pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Right.
It's like it's already here.
Yeah.
Just plug it into Amazon and like your Apple Watch, it can probably tell you everything about the rest of your life.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that.
By the way, I'm dying at 94, so
Oh yeah, I was trying to figure mine out too.
Yeah,
That's a good
enough.
date.
yeah, I still have a long way ahead.
Yeah.
What data did you need to put in? I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, just a couple of stuff like age, how social gathering, food stuff, sports. Don't smoke.
Oh my
That's pretty good.
goodness.
Yeah. What I'm afraid of is that, Austin, you've mentioned that you might like have a salad instead of a beer or something like that. I do know a person who purchased the Aura ring. That's the ring that tracks your sleep, and became extremely paranoid with that, because every morning that person opened up the mobile application, checked the quality of his sleep, and like, holy shit, like I've missed like 5 minutes of like deep sleep. That's not a good thing for my health, etc. And like he became obsessed and paranoid with the quality of his sleep, and it affected his sleep quality negatively, because he had this anxiety and frustration, and been drinking some pills before he goes to bed, and things, been constantly thinking how he can improve that. So he ended up selling that ring to, I guess, some other friend. I don't remember where exactly, but that was like a legitimate case of like data induced paranoia, I'd guess.
Mhm.
So that might be also a thing to consider, because like you might refuse to drink a beer, then you might think, okay, maybe I'll take a walk instead of driving a car. And then you will like I think I would honestly like avoid flying on the planes, because like statistically airplane is like super safe, but like who knows what might happen. And over time, I guess I'll descend into this madness of self-help and like isolation from everything that basically brings joy to life. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think
That's gonna be way worse because you're gonna be all stressed all the time and not do
yes.
exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stress is a killer. Like honestly, I
Definitely.
think that. Yeah. So yeah, I guess we are going towards the end of our today's call. So yeah, folks, thank you very much for our today conversation. Austin, thanks for the demo. A great product. Please keep us updated on your progress and how that would go. Maybe you'll get a couple more clients from the community. Would love to see that. That would be awesome.
Either way, and if anyone has any feedback, positive or negative, I'm always open. We're always trying to learn. I mean, we know we're not perfect, so happy to hear any thoughts if anyone has.
Yeah, fantastic.
Thank you, Austin. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much. See you on the next one.
See ya.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye-bye.
Bye.